Imagine a person. She is 34 years old. Good job. Own apartment. And every evening, 6 hours on the phone. Not because it is boring, but because real life is unbearable, too hard, too gray, too long without reward. Psychologists have a name for this, but it is old. Older than TikTok, older than Instagram, older even than the first iPhone. Carl Jung gave it to her, and it sounds like this: Puer Aeternus, eternal boy. And I will now prove to you that this is the most accurate description of our generation. So what is Puer Aeternus? Jung described this archetype as a psychological structure where a person is stuck in the state of adolescence, not physically, but internally. But the real research was done by his student, Marie-Louise von Franz, in a book in 1970. And her main discovery is a concept she called temporary life. Here's what it looks like from the inside. You wake up and think, this job is just for now. I'll find something better. Then the real thing will begin. This relationship is also for now. And the city where you live is also temporary. And the daily routine and habits. Everything is a draft. Everything is preparation for the real start. But the start never comes. Because there is another feature of Puer, the fear of limitations. Any obligation for him is a prison. A mortgage is a shackle. Marriage is a cage. A fixed schedule is the death of freedom. Puer wants all doors to remain open. But as a result, he stands in a corridor where there is a draft, and the years go by. Pay attention. This is not laziness. This is not weakness. This is an archetypal pattern, a psychological structure that protects a person from the pain of growing up, at the cost of growing up itself. And now, attention. This structure has received an ideal environment for reproduction. 2007. The first iPhone is released. This is not just a new gadget. It is the first ever cheap dopamine machine that is always with you. 24/7. In your pocket. What does this mean for our psyche? Growing up used to require patience. To get a reward, you had to wait, to learn, to make mistakes, to try again. The brain was used to long loops. Effort now, result later. Social media broke this loop. Video games give a sense of achievement. Levels, achievements, progress bars, without any real accountability. They give you the feeling of being a hero without being a hero. Instagram and TikTok give social approval, likes, comments, views, without the depth of real friendship. They give you the feeling of closeness without being close. And the brain, your brain, my brain, adapts. It starts to crave low friction, fast, easy, effortless. And reality? Reality is high friction by definition. Relationships are difficult, careers are slow, growing up hurts, and the brain, accustomed to dopamine fast food, begins to perceive reality as broken, as something to be avoided. Here is Puer 2.0, but there is another layer, and it is the most interesting. Remember Peter Pan? The boy who refused to grow up and ran away to Neverland, a land where time does not exist? Instagram and TikTok are Neverland. Literally. It is a space where no one ages, where 40-year-olds post content about the same things that interested them at 15. And again, that in itself is not a problem. But in the context of Puer, it is a form of escape. Not a vacation, but an escape from the existential weight of being an adult. And there is another detail that almost no one talks about. On the internet, we create an ideal version of ourselves, an avatar, a character. And Puer does something dangerous. He identifies himself with his avatar, not with a real body that is aging, Not with a real life where you have to pay utility bills, but with an ideal digital projection. The real I begins to seem like something foreign, unpleasant, unreal. And the digital avatar is who you really are. Jung would call it person inflation. We would call it simply addiction to your own image on your phone. Let's call a spade a spade. We live in an era of mass infantilization of culture. Look at what is being sold: collectible toys for adults, cartoons that are for all ages, but in fact the target audience, people over 30. Nostalgia as a major marketing tool. Go back to the 90s. Remember that? It's no coincidence. The market adapts to psychology. And if millions of people are psychologically stuck in adolescence, the market will sell them teenage products. There's even a term for it: kidult, child adult. A person with an adult passport and childish consumption patterns. And this market is worth billions. It's growing every year. Culture doesn't just reflect puer. Culture produces it. So what to do about it? Jung and von Franz had the answer. It's simple and brutal at the same time. You have to face your shadow, accept your limitations, say yes to one path and no to all others. Because freedom without choice is not freedom. It's paralysis. But here's a question I'll leave you with. If your phone is Neverland, then who are you without it? Not an avatar, not likes, not a character in someone else's feed. You are a real person, with a real body, real time, and that time is finite. Peter Pan never grew up, but for Barry, it was a tragedy, not a dream. Think about that the next time you pick up your phone at 2 a.m. If this video touched you,